I thought the framing was good on the whole. I thought the shots were held steady most of the time. The editing, I was a little bit confused at times, I must admit, about what was going on. I do know how you were trying to create, you're trying to do montage editing to create an active audience, as in Seven. And so I think that was quite a bold attempt, but I'm possibly not entirely sure what's going on in that. And I think the sound, there's an issue with the sound, in my opinion. I thought you used the codes and conventions of the horror genre to some extent in terms of creating this theme of isolation in contrast to lots of partying. So I thought overall, I think it did adhere to the codes and conventions, and I think you address your audience in that sense, in the sense that it was using mainstream conventions. So very good, thanks very much.
I liked the use of the sound where it was like the scary heavily breathing when she was walking through the forest. I thought that was very effective.
Okay, do you want to talk about how it addresses the audience in terms of the mainstream conventions?
Yeah, I think you used the conventions well. There could have been a bit more like horror conventions at the beginning, like in the party scene, maybe just to build up to the ending.
By the way, Avery's got to say something.
I liked the actual editing because I thought it was a good way to introduce the narrative, the interweaving of the two films. I also liked the sound towards the end, like the chaos it represented.
Sorry.
I thought through the partying scenes it was quite well filmed, the lighting and the handheld shots, and the way it framed and stuff. And when it went outside, I kind of got a bit confused at what was happening. Like suddenly all her friends had disappeared and there was a drunk guy lying somewhere. I didn't really understand.
I liked the framing, I quite liked the editing as well. The only thing I didn't really like too much was the music. I think the contrast was a bit too heavy, I think. But yeah, other than that, it was well shot. I think it portrayed the conventions of horror, the points quite well.
Yeah, I thought the bit when she left the party scene and was outside was really good because it created disorientation, which was obviously what they were trying to do, they were all drunk or whatever. And I think that it would appeal to teenagers, that was your target market. And I liked the way that the credits came on when they did freeze frame of the screen with over the top, because it made the characters more introduced.
I liked the effects used when outside, the circle effect, I'm not sure what it's called, but it made it look more disorientated. And I think it addressed the audience well because it made it more relatable because they were all of the same age as the audience.
I liked how they created a believable party scene at the start, and I also liked the use of the heavy breathing, showing she was in trouble, she was valuing her life. They portrayed the horror genre quite well, with the use of overlapping the shots to make it look disorienting, and it contrasted having fun at the party scene with the horror side of it, stuck in the woods being followed.
I like the way they use separate cuts at the end when she's outside on her own, because she's isolated. The cuts to the horror, the scary face, made it really abrupt, so it's shocking. I like the verisimilitude created at the party because it looks fun, and when you're watching it, you want to be there. And then straight away it cuts to her being alone, so you feel sorry for her, you feel sympathy for her.
Now we're going to respond to the peer assessment about our film.
First of all, we'll start off with what was liked by our audience, which was they liked the verisimilitude created by the party scene, and they thought it was believable. They thought we used good framing, and the editing was confusing. Some people liked it, some people found it quite confusing.
Overall, they thought that we portrayed the conventions of a horror well, which was good because that's obviously what we were aiming for.
They thought that it appealed to our audience, and they liked how the characters were introduced by the freeze frames.
Yeah. The things which they didn't really like very much, one person said that the jump from the music was too fast, and we understand, because we could have maybe filmed a little section. Also, some people were quite confused about the general storyline of the plot, so maybe next time if we were maybe to do this again, we would have included kind of a transition scene from the party to the bit where she's outside, just so people aren't as confused.
They also said that our conventions were good, so we used isolated settings and we used the victim as a blonde girl lost in the woods. We wanted to use a genre convention of making it quite confusing, so it was confusing for the audience and more. Yeah, but that maybe didn't work as well as it should have, which we can work on next time.